Good evening and welcome to RPM. It's Thursday night, so that can only mean one thing. It's Friday tomorrow. We're here for some Premier Division racing, and we're at Japan, the famous Suzuka circuit. We've got the drivers just coming out to the track now on an outlap, and we'll see how they get on. Just as we're at Japan, a bit of trivia for you. We're on board with KV KFC here, and just a bit of trivia. Over 3.6 million Japanese people go to KFC for a Christmas dinner. Thought I'd tie that all in. But we may as well stay on board with KFC to see how he gets on. We also do manage to have TAS tonight. Unfortunately, I can't tell who anyone is, so I can guess on pretty much everything as per usual. And probably still guess on the weather. But it does look like we are going to be having a dry qualifying and race, but slightly more overcast in the race. Right, so good evening, Blocker. How are you? Nice to have you with us for some great racing. I'm just going to have a quick look at what happened in round one, as I wasn't here. It was led by the beautiful Spritzy, who unfortunately can't make it tonight. Good evening, Richie. Nice to see you. As KFC also starts his flying lap going into the first sector now, keeps it nice and tidy. You just got to watch the curbs through here. If you take too much, it can send your back end flying out. He's keeping it nice and clean. RPM Cosmo saying Merc power. Yeah, well, Jetfish now, always competitive. Let's hope they do well for you. Right, so for anyone watching, Brandon won last week. So we've got Brandon top of the championship, who was runner-up last year in a great championship battle with Colin. Colin down in 8th on 15 points, so he'll be looking to make amends for that this week. Volcano in 2nd in the championship on 35 points. We've got Jetfish and Al 3rd and 4th in the Mercedes. So Cosmo will be happy with that. We got Higgsy in 5th, Luke in 6th, with his brother following him in 7th. And then we've got Colin, Yeast, Andrew, Galassi, Maggot, Giraffe and Entity, with the rest not scoring a single point yet. But it's only one race in. Westy looks like he enjoyed that trivia. I would try and find some other bits of trivia for you, as KFC puts in a 1:29.7, half a second off Colin. Let's see who else we got coming round. Andrew, interesting entrance to the pit lane there. We've got Maggot on the lap, as Alan Jetfish put themselves 3rd and 4th. Is Kieran reserve or full time? I really should know. I've got to be honest with you, I have no idea. RPM Cosmo saying hello, lads. Hello, Cosmo. Hello, Huss. Yeah, good race for everyone. Yeah, hopefully we'll see some good racing. Maggot puts himself into 5th. Hello, Rabico as well. We've got a lot of people in the chat tonight. As we got Volcano in the Haas on the back of his 2nd place last week. What can he do in his first flying lap? Gets it tucked in up to the line. Puts himself 6th, so it's quite close at the top. 5 drivers separated by, well, actually no, 7 drivers separated by 2 tenths. And Colin with half second in front of them. Let's see, it looked like there was a spin there. We got back across in the line, up into 12th, 151. Another bit of trivia for you there is that apparently the Japanese trains are the most efficient in the world. with them running every 18 seconds after each other, which means Baka is less efficient than a Japanese train, 21 seconds behind Entity. Hello, Jones. Meow to Sean, or Row. Where is Spritzy? Wow, instead of doing animal noises. Spritzy was late getting home today, so unfortunately he can't join, so you are stuck with me. Yeah, so you're just going to have to make do with it, I'm afraid, but it could start to get sloppy in the second half. I managed to be back on the beers tonight, so that could get quite entertaining, and the trivia could get a lot worse. And that's even less efficient from Bakada. I'll stop cursing him for once. Whilst all this has been happening, I've been chatting absolute rubbish. We've had Glassy and Brandon put themselves into 4th and 5th, demoting the Mercedes down. Cosmo's going to be very annoyed about that. Higgsy and KFC still up in 2nd and 3rd. And then all very close on the 130s. There, so it's going to be all to play for. 9 tenths separate 14th to 2nd. I don't know if we've got Freddie. I doubt he'd be on a flying lap just yet. Maybe he will be. And yeah, Westy saying that there's my Red Bull team, mate. I know. Is that about backers spinning or my incredibly awkward commentary? From what Sean or Smithy's saying, that I am assuming it's backer spinning. As we've got Andrew on a flying lap. Coming through the first sector. He'll flick it in now to the right. Break in and try and get good drive. Don't get too much curb on the exit. Yeah, both Westy, makes a lot of sense. Braking hard into the hairpin here. Now he's got to try and get the exit. He'll carry the speed all the way down into the fast left-handers, and then he's back on a very long straight and a flat-out left-hander. I will also put all this stuff up so we can see how he's getting on, coming towards the end of Sector 2. Yeah, keeps it absolutely pinned. Now it's slowing down for the chicane. Get it in nice and tight on the right-hander. Try and get good drive out of the left-hander. And he's going to take the shortest distance to the line, and that's a 1:35 for Andrew. So he is put himself into 13th, but it's all very, very tight, and a lot of banker laps just gone in there. Now we've got Spider-Man also on a flying lap down in 17th. Red Bull getting out his way just at the outside there. Not quite sure who that was, but Red Bull could do with getting their skates on a bit here, down in 17th and 19th. We've also got Luke yet to qualify, and we know how fast Luke is, so it'd be interesting to see where he can put himself. Evening, Mrs. Bold. And here we go. And there is Spritzy as well. Evening, Spritzy. Nice to have you with us. And Spider-Man crosses the line into 12th. We also had Luke push himself up to 10th. It's getting extremely, extremely tight. Who have we got on a lap? We'll go on board with the Mercedes for Cosmo. And we've got Jetfish going through the first sector here, through the S's. Oh, yeah, Richie making a good point there. Any drivers watching, don't forget to vote for your driver of the week after tonight. I'm sure we'll have some other good candidates for that this week. Yeah, we've had some good races so far already in the other divisions. So Jetfish now. He's effectively just got 2 corners left at this point. He's Westy saying driver of the week. him. He did finish in second, I think. But he got outdone by his brother the week before, so not sorry to dig that jab in Westy. And Jetfish 129.8. So him and Al are separated by just a few thousandths at the moment. Who else have we got? We've got Brandon on a slow lap by the looks of it. Glassy looks to be flying. Yeah, he's 3 temps up. He goes in a bit deep in there. Let's hope he hasn't lost too much time. And Colin goes even faster, moves that bar even further. 128.5, absolutely unreal time. And he is flying, and he's keen to make up for last week where he finished 8th. And it'd be nice to see Glassy really putting some form together this season. I spoke about it a lot last season, how unlucky he was getting. Let's hope he can get a nice result tonight. He's a 10th and a half up going into the final chicane. It's tucked in quite a bit of curve there. And he's going to have a short run down to the line. He's going to improve. And he improves by 2 temps, so he's gone second. He's the best of the rest at the moment. Maggot is apparently a second and a half down. So let's have a look what Volcano's doing. Volcano is 2 temps up through the first sector. Oh, and he's backed out of it there. Who have we got on a flying lap now? We've got Higgsy. He's down in 6th at the moment, but he's invalidated. And we'll follow through the championship leader, Brandon. He's on a flying lap now. See what he can do. If he has got his AirPod in AirPod in his ear, don't listen to me because you'll just drive a lot worse. No point taking any tips from me. And he'll be hoping to desperately improve on 8th position here. And we know how tight it was between him and Colin last season. Now flick it to the right. He's nearly 4 temps up. He's absolutely flying at the moment. That provisionally will put him into second if he can keep hold of that time, but can he find more? Gets it nicely tucked in. Looked like he got a little bit of a moment on that curve, but kept it together well. Oh, and as I say, he has a little bit of a moment. That's a commentator's curse, and he has a moment coming out of it. So he'll run into the pits. He'll have time to get back out and have another lap at it. We've got Giraffe coming behind in 12th, but I think, yeah, it looks like he's backed out of that. So what is Andrew up to? He's on a flyer. He's keeping his car over to the left here. He'll move back to the right, open up this left-hander, and he will be absolutely pins down on the throttle here. Braking hard now, get it turned into the right and to the left, get the drive out. DRS open and over the line, and it's a 1:30.0. So Andrew hasn't really managed to push himself up the leaderboard there. We've got Quinn also on a flying lap, but he's apparently 1.3 seconds down. Let's see, I'm not sure that's true. Unfortunately, Tass isn't being great help for me tonight. Yeah, and Huss making a great point there. It is an incredibly close grid. Apart from Colin, who's absolutely flown around now, but we all know how fast Colin is. 1 second clear. It is 1.4 seconds from second to 20th. It's going to be really interesting to see what strategies are taken up here and how they go about it. And obviously, you never know what can happen. There could be safety cars and other things. So Quinn pits. So he was down in that first sector then. Have we got a fly on that? Andrew's 1.3 seconds down. Richie, yeah. The weather is about the one thing I can give you from tests because everything else doesn't seem to be working. It is going to be dry but overcast. There will be about a 25% chance of rain throughout the race, but it's not really changing. So expect a dry race. Now what can Luke do? Can he push his Ferrari up there? If he finds a couple of temps, he could climb as high as 7th. So it's all to play for. The tiniest gain can mean so much on this grid. Oh, and that's awful timing for Luke, and he's just got so much traffic there at the chicane. It was an Aston Martin, and I'm not sure who was in the road there. What a shame for him. Now we got Phil on a flying lap, but I think we should probably go to Colin because I haven't shown any of him yet, and let's see how he gets on. Just watch the master at work. He's so unbelievably quick. Yeah, Luke, very unfortunate. It has been caught on stream. Yeah, you look to be going well there, and it's such a shame because of how close it is. Brandon retires from the session, and Colin puts himself even further ahead. Another 2 temps he finds, and just keeps finding time. Glassy now, 2nd place. He is up, but only marginally. We've had a bit of movement. Sorry, I got rid of the UI for a second just so we could appreciate Colin's driving, but Glassy has invalidated. Volcano, what can he do? He's 2 temps up currently. And that could put him into 2nd on the grid because Glassy will not be improving with his invalidated lap. Brandon also down in temps, so Glassy out-qualifies Brandon today, but we know how good Brandon can be when he's lower down in the grid. We saw it a few times last season. Volcano gets it stopped, turns in, on the power, right to the finish line. And he does improve by 2 temps, but I believe he stays in 5th there. KFC is in the pit. What can Entity do? The man from Brighton. And yeah, he's only 12th there. But him and Giraffe, I'm sure they'll have something up their sleeve. They work well together, those two. And Spider-Man up to 9th. So, oh sorry, Entity in 8th. Didn't even see that come up. So we had an absolute qualifying masterclass from Colin once again. Over a second. Oh no, not over a second clear because of the improvements. Volcano, 7 temps. I feel like I got a load of stuff wrong at the end there. Maybe it wasn't updated on my screen. So we've got Colin from Volcano. Volcano continuing his good form. 2nd last week, and he's qualified 2nd today. Higgsy, Glassy, Maggot, KFC, Jetfish, Entity, Spider-Man, Yeast, Quinn, and Brandon. Brandon will be disappointed with that. He's going to have a lot to make up for. Giraffe, Al, Phil, Andrew, Luke, Fretty, Kieran, and Backer bringing up the rear of the grid. But as you can see, it is so close in that midfield, and it is going to be very exciting to see how the strategy plays out. And I'm expecting to see some great close racing, but also probably pretty hairy through the S's. As usual, because I always find it incredibly awkward just talking to myself for 2 hours. If anyone has any predictions, if you would put them in the chat, we can discuss them. I'm guessing quite a few people are going to say Colin for the win. But a sensible prediction and a long shot would be an interesting one for each person. Huss saying 10 drivers in 3 temps. Are we on about at the finish? Or just at the start? Because at the start, I imagine they definitely will be. And Colin leads us off here in Japan on the formation lap, and it is looking very, very overcast. But like I said, it's about 25% chance of rain, but it's not meant to happen. We'll have a look at tyres now. No safety car tonight, says Blocker. That's his prediction. That'd be an interesting one. I mean, I think in the first division we did have 2 safety cars, but it took quite a while for them to come on, and I think it is possible. It was quite clean. It's just all about what happens in the S's. If someone spins in the S's, it's so hard then to avoid them, and I think that's where you can see one happen. But let's see how that predictions goes. Everyone is currently on the medium tyres. We've got Brian in 6th, also known as KFC. Spider-Man in 9th, Phil in 15th, and Andrew in 16th, all on the hard tyres. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. They will definitely be hoping there is no early safety cars, but maybe one after all the guys on mediums have pitted would help them greatly. Right, as Colin comes up to the chicane, and Volcano's quite a distance behind him, so Colin might want to slow down a little bit here so his tyres don't get too cold, because looking at Bakker, he's not even come through the left-hander towards the chicane, and Colin is about to take his grid spot. Oh, he's definitely warmed those tyres up there. And sorry, Colin, for catching it on stream. And where have we got Bakker? He's still not at the chicane, so they are going to be waiting a hell of a long time. Obviously, he won't have to go as far down the straight. He'll be taking the 20th grid slot. Right, and I think we are all formed up here. And ready to go. As Billy Ocean once said, red light spells danger. As I say, 5 red lights. Okay, let's go. And we're off. Colin and Volcano very, very close. Volcano also getting a good start. He's going to have a little look at the inside. Can't make anything happen. And we've got all cars very, very, very close. Alpha Tauri of Higgsy making some moves. He's on the inside now of the Alfa Romeo of Maggot, but that leaves him on the outside. That's the nature of these S's. And we've got a spinner. That appears to be Phil. Hopefully he's got no rear wing damage there. And Kieran looks to have made contact with him. That was a 5-second penalty for him. Colin, 1.2 seconds. He's had an absolutely stonking first sector, and he's away at the moment. Volcano is trying to go with him. He's got Maggot just a bit behind him, and we've got Brandon already making up positions. And Glassy losing out. It's been good for one McLaren, bad for the other. And we've got Brandon up 4 positions so far, as KFC is going round the outside, which will give him the inside to the left-hander here. And Brandon, he probably did the right thing pulling out of it. It was getting oh so close there, and if someone had turned left a bit more to get out the other car's way, it could have took his front wing off. That's just good racecraft from Brandon. He's got a look on Glassy as well. Glassy just hasn't got those tyres fired up at the moment. Oh, and he makes contact with his teammate. And I feel like I am really cursing a lot of drivers tonight, catching things on stream. Colin has exited proceedings at the front. He's up, way up the field, 1.9 seconds ahead now. We've got Al having a look at this. And I think there might have been some contact with Al and Brandon possibly. Kieran in the pits. That means back has now made up 2 places. Phil at the back, 12 seconds down at the moment, unfortunately, after that first lap incident. And now we're just going to have to bide his time a little bit here. We've got Jetfish also up there. Oh, and Entity's out. Entity's out. And where has he gone? Let's go on board with Phil, see if we can see it. So, unfortunately, I think for Blocker, your prediction only lasted 2 laps. And yeah, Entity's just lost it coming up the hill on the left-hander. It's so easy to do. If you take curb on the inside, you can end up in that barrier, and if you end up running wide onto the curb on the outside, it's the same fate, unfortunately. It's just such a dangerous corner. I also ended up in that barrier, so don't feel alone, Entity, although I imagine that's a bit of an insult, saying you've done the same thing as me. Now, 2 laps in, I imagine we won't see people pitting, because it's just far too early, surely. No worries, Blocker. Happens to the best of us. If you want to find yourself a new prediction, go for it, and I will read it out. So Lee Taylor saying Phil spun in front of Kieran. Kieran had nowhere to go. Shouldn't have got a penalty. Yeah, unfortunately I didn't catch it. All I saw was the penalty come up on a screen and fill in the barrier. Yeah, those S's are treacherous. Especially when you're close behind other cars. If someone spins, you just can't avoid it unless you take to the grass. So now let's have a look. Bakker is in a pit, so he's trying something different. What tyres has he put on now? He's put the hard tyres on. So he's got a pit stop out the way. He'll probably pit again, but he might try and take them long and put the softs on towards the end. Because I imagine we'll have this safety car for another lap at least, so that'll take us to 4 or 5. And that'll leave 22 laps left. So, what have we got here? We've got Maggot up 2 positions, Jetfish with another start. We know he's good at starting, and he's up into 4th. Higgsy lost out 2 places, so he's down in 5th. KFC hasn't changed position. Glassy looked to be really struggling to get those tyres fired up. He's down in 7th. Brandon only up 2 positions because of just having to avoid some incidents, basically. He had been up to 8th at one point. Yeast up 2 positions. Al up 5. So the Mercedes, once again, just brilliant starters. We've got Spider-Man down 2. Quinn down 1. Entity is out. And then just a bit of changing at the back with that spin we saw on the first lap. Now, as we've got a safety car, I thought I'd do a bit more trivia for you. Apparently, the number 4 is incredibly lucky in Japan. So maybe that will help Jetfish currently being in position 4. And in 4th gear. The whole... there's wheels within wheels there, I think. That might be my prediction now, Jetfish for the win. Purely based off some trivia I found on Google. Richie saying I thought it was 5. Richie, I would say take that up with rickshawtravel.co.uk. Yeah, that's all I can really tell you. Apparently it's pronounced she in Japanese, so there we go. It could be fake news though. Right, so what we found out actually the other night, I'm not sure if they had the same issue in Championship. Unfortunately, I missed that race. In First Division, the safety car, where usually you would be probably told around now that the safety car is coming in this lap, it doesn't tell you very early at all. It tells you literally when you're on the last chicane. So making the start procedure for the driver in first very difficult. But Colin, being the F1 genius that he is, seems to know that. Or it looked like it. He was slowing right down. And would it tell him now? Or are they doing one more lap? Safety car in this lap. As you can see, it's literally already at the pit lane. So it doesn't give Colin any time to prepare. And he has to leave it late to go. He's gone now. Volcano is caught sleeping. And that has put him under pressure from Maggot. But he's also under pressure from Jetfish. Oh, it's going to be tight through there. It gets a lot of curb as well, but keeps the car pointing in the right direction. And Jetfish is really eager on this at the moment. He seems to have great race pace. Oh, and what great driving from Jetfish there. What great driving from Jetfish to avoid that. Unfortunate for Maggot, just lost it. And it is so easy to do it in the S's. But Jetfish, what quick reactions he had there. Unbelievable. So now Jetfish is released onto the back of Volcano, but Volcano's looks like he's had good pace. We'll see what battles we've got going on behind. We've got Al right behind Eust, and Eust close behind Glassy and Brian. And it looks like it's actually Glassy who's closest to Brian at the moment. There's still no DRS at the moment because of the safety car. We have to wait 2 laps for that. But it looks like Eust has got some pace. But I know at the top end, the McLaren pulls away again. So I have to keep patient at the moment. I think Glassy might be having a look at Brian soon, because Brian's struggling to keep with Higgsy at the moment. And in a fight there, a little bit, the 2 Aston Martins going side by side. Yeah, it was, yeah, Lee, it's really, I don't know what they've done with the safety car here. It just gives you, I think if you know about it, obviously you can potentially plan for it, which it looked like Colin was doing at first, but it's, when you get to that last corner, you think it's not going to come in, so it just gives you no time to prepare. And Wardy, what have you missed? Well, we've had Entity retire. As you can see, there's a lot of position changes so far. We've had a few spins. It's very tricky through the first section here at Japan. We've had some great trivia, if I do say so myself. I think that's all I can really say. Colin is checking out at the front now. He's absolutely mighty today. He's trying to make amends for last week where he finished down in, I think it was 8th, well, 7th or 8th. And we got Glassy being overtaken by the Mercedes of Al, and Brandon now also pass. So Glassy, unfortunately, he's just not really got those tyres fired up at the moment. But maybe he will try something different on strategy now that his teammate is through. And it is really heating up. The Aston Martin's actually slowing each other down a bit. Al getting onto the back of this. Brian not able to keep up with Higgsy. Let's get on board with Yeast. He's going for it. And he's going to have that easily done. Yeah, gets back into the racing line. Now Al is the next one looking to get past Brian. So Brian just struggling in this phase of the race at the moment, but I do believe he is on the hard tyres. Yeah, that's right. So he's actually in a really interesting position strategy-wise. Al did well to save that as well, as I was speaking. Had a moment on the curb there. But now it's Brandon right up behind Al. And what can he do as Phil gets past back for 15th position? But they are both on hard tyres. They are trying something different to these guys. Well, most of these guys at the front on mediums. And Brandon, oh, that's lovely. Absolutely judged that to perfection. Oh, he's gone on the grass a bit though. That's going to lose it out for him. Trying to give the Mercedes room. I think he could have stayed a bit further to his right. But I think this is also why Brandon tends to do so well when he's lower down on the grid. He really, really has good racecraft. Now Glassy will be right up behind him. As we see Colin pumping another fastest lap in. That was, according to TAS, 1.1 seconds faster than Volcano in seconds. So Colin is just in a completely different race at the moment. He's absolutely flying. Oh, Al has another moment on those curbs. Just getting a bit too trigger happy on the curbs. And you've got to watch it. And it looked like he had another little moment there. Maybe he's struggling for grip already. You can see tyre wears differ here a bit more because people change their wing a bit more than other tracks. And yeah, Brandon has to think about that again. Wouldn't be room. But maybe he will try it again from the hairpin where he tucked it up the inside on the exit last lap. No, he's going to wait. He will have DRS though, coming up soon, if he can stay within this gap here. But Al seems to have actually caught up through, to Brian there, and the problem is here for Brandon, and there's this yellow in sector 2, not sure who that was. Problem for Brandon here is they're now in a DRS train from Yeast backwards to Spider-Man. Now will we see anyone make a move? It looks like Al got quite a nice exit off there. And he is getting closer to Brian, but Brian being helped by the DRS from his teammate, and we're just going to see them staying in position for another lap. It's back past Phil. We'll see if we can see that. Looks like they were having a good battle, but Phil's lost out to Fretty as well. But Fretty and Backer on fresher hard tyres because they took the advantage of that early safety car to change their strategy a little bit. So let's see what they can do. They will be running longer than everyone on the track at the moment for this first stint. Now Brandon, he's going to be getting desperate to get past this Mercedes, but the problem is then he's got two Aston Martins to get past. He's our current championship leader, but Colin at Volcano and Jetfish up top will be taking some points back off him if it stays as it is. He has to think about it into the chicane, thinks better of it. Can he get a good exit off here? He will have DRS. He's very close up behind, but as per usual, Al seems to get a great bit of traction off. But the second phase of that corner, and Brandon was flying. He's going to go up the inside and gets it done. Brave racing there. It can come so close together. You always think you have more room than you do, but they kept it both on track. And now Brandon has been freed up a little bit. Glassy has also dropped back off this, which means Spider-Man is out of this DRS train as well. Colin now 7 seconds out in front, and he was, let me refresh TAS here, how much quicker was he on that lap? He was 1.2 seconds quicker than Volcano on that lap, so Colin is absolutely flying. And you can see, if you look down in the bottom right of your screens, that red Ferrari going around the left-handers, that's just how big that gap is already. We've been racing for only 5 laps. He is on fire at the moment. So now Brandon, what can he do against the Aston Martins? I will keep checking for the closest battles on track, but as we've got so many cars close by here, I'll stay on board for a bit longer. Wardy, the weathercast was overcast. Yeah, it is quite grey. Only 25% chance of rain. It's most likely to be a dry race throughout, but you never know. And Colin has 4 shredded wheat for breakfast. Well, that must be why, because apparently 4 is a lucky number in Japan, but if you ask Richie, he might say it's not, and it could be 5. There's a bit of a jury still out on that one. Google may be lying to us. But there is no refuting the fact that, as you can see the driver in front of Brandon KFC, apparently 3.6 million people have their Christmas dinner at KFC in Japan. But the thing to bear in mind here as well, as this race, and Freddie unfortunately picks up a 3-second penalty. That'll be for warnings on track limits. Glasses also drop back even further from this now. The thing to bear in mind here is Brian and Spider-Man are going to be running much longer than these guys on those hard tyres. So they're going to come into play later in the race. They might be struggling for pace at the moment, so like Brian against Yeast, but that could all change in the second phase of this race. And we've got Higgsy also extremely close behind Jetfish. Oh, and Jetfish is out! No, it's not Jetfish, sorry, it's Higgsy. And I just as I switched onto it, and I must be the worst commentator for saying something and then someone being out. And that's surely going to be a safety car in there. Nothing yet. As Quinn pits, so he thinks it's going to be a safety car. I don't know if it's a virtual one, but Quinn effectively gets a free pit stop. And now Quinn, it could be a very interesting person to keep your eyes on. Yeah, it's no safety car, virtual safety car, so they've somehow quickly managed to recover that vehicle. And where is Jetfish? Oh, Jetfish down in 15th. Did he pit? He must have pitted then. So I don't really know what has happened, but as that crash happened at the pit lane and he was so close behind him, maybe they got caught up near the pit entrance. One was staying out, one was going in, and they got caught up. I don't want to say too much because I didn't see exactly what happened. I kind of just saw Higgsy in the wall, and that's such a shame because he had such great pace here. But Brandon chasing down, that also gives Volcano a bit of gap as we see Yeast pitting, but Volcano already in the pits. He'll be switching to the hards now, trying to one-stop it. Now Brian, he's been freed up, but Brandon will know that he won't have DRS next lap. Oh! And once again, I open my gob and it all goes wrong. And that's such a shame for Brian because his strategy was going to play out nicely, but now Spider-Man is that guy with the strategy advantage on those hards. And Glassy, now he's been given back a few free positions there. Now, are we seeing... Well, I'm guessing as people are pitting, we are, but this looks to be the crossover because Spider-Man seems to be really coming into his own with a pace on this. Brandon doesn't seem to be able to drop him, and I wonder if we'll see Brandon pit soon. We'll go up the road to Colin. I imagine we might see him pit soon. And what's he going to do? We've got a yellow flag elsewhere, that's Quinn. And Colin stays out. Brandon still under pressure from Spider-Man. Colin actually goes and sets the fastest lap at a race, and that's unbelievable considering he's on 13-lap-old mediums. Spritzy saying Brandon did amazing to avoid Brian. Yeah, as Brandon pits, speak of the devil. Yeah, we've managed to catch some great reactions tonight. We saw it from, I think it was Al also. Unbelievable reactions. Alex saying game's dead. I'm not sure what in reference to, but yeah, I know there's some issues. That safety car was definitely one of them. It was very strange. And Glassy really looks like he's now struggling for grip on this, and Spider-Man, as you can see, has just dropped him. And Spider-Man could be on for an incredibly good race result here. Entity should be... Oh, so I'm guessing it's Entity in the chat. Entity should be given the win. Well, if you reverse the current standings, Entity would be winning. I'm guessing that's not the way he'd want to win a race, though. Now, Volcano on those fresh hards, he's making moves. He's right up behind Fretty on 10-lap-old hard tyres. And just a bit of something to notice, Bakker and Fretty, who were very close on track when Bakker got past Phil, well, it's now a 7.7 second gap through there. So Bakker on these hard tyres is really finding some pace. And we got, I think, a safety car, and that has worked brilliantly for Colin. Well, he was that far ahead anyway. I don't think it's I mean, he's going to maintain his position. But he was pitting as the safety car came out. So what actually happened there? I can't quite see. Bakker will get a free pit stop as well, getting himself up into 7th. But he doesn't pit, according to this. He's on the straight. Oh no, he is in the pits. I don't know if you can also see that on the stream. That might explain why I was seeing different times in qualifying. That was very buggy. And maybe Alex is right. So, Spider-Man, fresh mediums, till the end. He'll possibly just have 10 laps to do on them because of the safety car. And he's looking in a very good position. Volcano in the other half in second on 2-lap-old hards. So it is looking very good for Haas at the moment here in Premier Division. And we got Colin in front. I think Colin will be a bit gutted about that, actually, because he was 15 seconds down the road. He was absolutely cruising. And apparently, Giraffe having some buggy gameplay here, but he's DNF, so that's what caused the safety car, and it's only just come up for me there. So currently in the constructors, we've got Mercedes in first position. They are down in 8th and 16th. Jetfish, the pit stop not working for him at all. McLaren are in second, they're in 5th and 7th currently. Haas in third in the championship, second and third, and Ferrari in 4th in the championship in 1st and 6th. So Ferrari, Haas and McLaren all with 2 drivers each in the top 7, and Yeast is just breaking that up from being the top 6. Now it'd be interesting to see what the midfield pack can do as well, because Bakker on those hard tyres, hopefully he can keep it all pointing in the right direction, but he was pulling a serious gap on Fretty, so he seems to have found his race pace in his setup. He'll also be on the mediums to the end, so he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hard runners in front of him. I'd imagine Colin will be out of reach though. And can these medium drivers make it count? Also, Spider-Man is very, very well positioned here to either go attack his teammate or look after the podium here and get away from the group behind him. Right, so will Colin have learned from that weird safety car? He might want to start backing up the field earlier because the safety car is going to leave it late. It's literally going to tell him it's coming in when it goes through the final chicane. Right, has the chat got any predictions for the last 9 laps here? I think the one prediction we can all safely say is that the safety car is going to be incredibly late, telling everyone it's going in. Maybe it will stay out another lap though. Quinn's 38 seconds off the back of the pack at the moment. Safety car is staying out. So Quinn will catch the pack and we will be going racing, which is quite nice because we had some gaps forming there. I mean, strategy was starting to play out, so that was one part of the reason for the gaps, but we saw in qualifying how close it was. If we've got everyone right on top of each other again, it could make for some very, very spicy racing coming into the last few laps. As I said, those medium runners are going to have the advantage. So looking at Spider-Man in third, we've got Brian down to Fretty from 9th to 12th, all on the mediums with 5 hard runners straight ahead of them. And we've got Lee saying, unlucky team Williams. Yeah, it's a shame for Williams there. If you like Entity said, he thinks he should have won. Well, if you reverse it, they've both got a podium. Now we got, I imagine, the last lap here because we got Quinn on the back of the group here in his Red Bull. An all-Dutch team in the Red Bulls this season with Bakker and Quinn. And will Colin start to back up now? That's the question. And Wardy's saying Luke creeped up the table quickly. Yeah, over the last season or so of commentating on these races, Luke just quietly goes about his business. Just dead consistent and always ends up in good point scoring positions by the end. Oh, and there we go. We got a decent bit of notice telling us the safety car's coming in this lap. So Colin will now start to back up the pack. The safety car is peeling off now into the pit lane, so it's all on Colin. When will he go? We'll go on board with Volcano. And Colin's just bolted straight out of the chicane. And look at that, he's gone second before they've even reached the line. And Spider-Man trying to put Volcano under pressure, but obviously they're teammates, so maybe they'll be really safe racing each other. Yeast also on the back of this. We've got Kieran being overtaken by Jetfish for 13th position. So we've now got 5 medium runners in a row. And Spider-Man will be desperate to get past Volcano, his teammate here. Volcano's been mighty fast, but I think Spider-Man he was getting his strategy right and the safety car helped him, and it might be worthwhile letting him through to ensure one of them gets second. Wesley saying Colin is unreal. Yeah, I mean, it was just an absolute genius start there. Caught everyone napping. And he's been, I think, possibly one of the, I mean, Colin's had some great races, but this is possibly the best race pace I've seen from Colin. He's been absolutely mighty here so far this evening. An absolute pleasure to watch him race, as always. We got Spider-Man having a look, but we've got Brandon really close behind Luke. It's all getting a bit hairy here. Spider-Man still behind Volcano. There is no DRS yet. We will have to wait another lap for that to be activated. Brandon using some ERS now. He wants to get past Luke. He's going to have to wait though. He doesn't have the straight line speed. You can see Luke just getting a bit out of shape there. And Brandon putting him under some almighty pressure at the moment. And that's also just allowing Luke's teammate to go after Yeast and feel a bit safer from the cars chasing behind. Now, will Brandon try that overtake he tried on Al through here? No, Luke places his car perfectly. And Luke actually had a really, really nice exit through there and pulled away a little bit. Maybe it's just taking a little time with his setup to get those tyres fired up. But the question is now, how long can these hard tyres, guys, last out? Because the medium tyre runners behind them are going to be coming after them quickly. I'm looking at Al on 8-lap-old hards against Brian on fresh mediums. DRS now enabled. Colin does a fastest lap of the race. A whole second quicker than Volcano managed there. That's not to take away from Volcano though, who is doing some incredibly quick lap times on those hard tyres. Colin, as we mentioned just moments ago, is just on fire tonight though. Brandon still tucked right up behind Luke. And you can see he always seems to gain. I think he's running a bit more wing than Luke because he seems to gain through the S's. Oh, and we've got a yellow flag, and that's Backer. Oh no. And let's hope he hasn't got rear wing damage though, but he's backwards in the barrier and it's not looking good for Red Bull down in 16th and 17th. But we'll get back on board with this battle up top. We've got a DRS train forming now. From Volcano all the way down to Jetfish. Fretty is just behind that. 5-second penalty also for Backer. When it rains it pours at the moment for the Red Bull drivers. And I'm surprised we haven't seen any of these medium runners get past so far. Not quite managing to take advantage of that grip advantage, albeit not a massive advantage as you'd see from the softs to the hards, but the hard runners keeping it all together. But the DRS train will also be helping them. It's because it is so hard to get moves done not on the straight here, because the S's, we just do not stand a chance. Maggot picks up a penalty. Where is Maggot? He is, I can't even see, 14th, so Quinn will effectively get 15th. Maggot will finish out of the points, so that could be a consolation for the Red Bull drivers at least. And I didn't actually notice that Luke getting past Glassy. I was too busy trying to do the maths of that penalty. And now Luke is going. Will Glassy let Brandon through? But it's fair to say the Ferraris and the Haas's just seem to have the McLarens covered at the moment, and the Mercedes just a little bit behind both of them on pace. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. That appears to be Ferretti, so he's had a spin coming through where Bakker is now. Richie's saying this is one of the most intense tracks of the calendar. Yeah, absolutely is. It's such a fun track to drive, but when you're all racing on it at the same time, you've just got to be so careful, not only because it's a slippy track anyway, careful on the throttle. You don't want to run into the back of people, and if someone spins like we said earlier, that could be curtains. So we got Al making a move. Oh, it's Brian making a move on Al. Looked like there was a bit of contact. Richie saying can't wait for Monaco. Yeah, Monaco is going to be really intense. I can wait for it because I know I'll be in. You know how they say about kissing the barriers to really gain your lap time. Unfortunately, I don't think that'll be what I'll be doing. I'll be losing my tyre in the barriers. We've got another spinner. That's Maggot, I think. Yeah, and some of the guys really struggling for grip at the moment. And just to mention, after Colin bolted, Volcano, even under pressure from his DRS train behind him, he hasn't lost too much time. He's sticking in there, 2.8 seconds back. Let's see what Brandon can do. He seems to be gaining on Glassy through here especially. And as you can see as well, just looking at the gaps now, Brian, who's behind this battle, 1.8, and then Phil 5 seconds behind that. So there has been a lot of instance back there, and the thing is, if someone spins in front of you, you have to avoid them. You lose loads of time, and obviously if you're spinning, you are losing loads of times too. It's a bit of war of attrition on this one. Phil unfortunately gets a 3-second penalty. Jetfish is also past him, but that is not the line to be taken through that corner. He will have to hand that back to Phil, but Phil's off. So I don't know if him and Jetfish came together there. Not really sure what happened, but do we have another safety car here? Yes, we do. Now this is very interesting. Bakker pits after having that bit of a disaster. He will also serve a penalty, I believe, in this stop. We should see now. Yep, they're not working. He's serving a penalty, 5 seconds of them. Fretty, Quinn onto the soft, and this changes everything. And if you thought it was just getting intense, it's going to get a hell of a lot more intense, and the racing is going to be really hard and close in these last few laps. I imagine a safety car won't be staying out for very long either, with it being so close to the end. Just 4 laps to go, and it is going to be a sprint to the end. Now, will anyone risk it and stay out? Because you could lose track position here. So say if Colin pits and Volcano, Spider-Man, Yeast, Luke, Brandon and Glassy don't pit, he's then got to try and overtake 8 cars for the win. This really throws a cat amongst the pigeons. Richie's saying stay out. Yeah. Well, I don't think you can afford to pit in some ways. Colin does stay out. Volcano stays out. Spider-Man stays out. Yeast stays out. And it just looks like what we've had there, and that's what makes it really interesting, is that because the guys at the back were coming to the pit lane as the safety car came out, they got a free pit stop. They're on the softs. Jetfish also pitting to softs. He will probably lose out a couple of positions. Andrew goes past. He'll come out in front of Quinn, but he's also serving a 5-second penalty in there by the looks of it. Right, and it's all getting very, very interesting. I can see Spritzy in the chat. I'd love to know what Spritzy's input to comms tonight would be. If you could give me a Natalie Pinkham insight, that would be absolutely beautiful. Well, Blocker's saying the track will eat the soft tyres. Well, they're only going to have to do 2 or 3 laps on the soft tyres, so it's essentially a qualifying session for them. So soft tyres are going to be super, super quick. Because right now, they're not putting any wear through them. I agree, if it was a longer period that they had to be on the softs for, it would be an absolute nightmare. But it's essentially a qualifying here. And all these guys in front are approaching 10 laps, pretty much for the most of them on the hard or medium tyres. It also allows people like Spider-Man and Brian to cool those medium tyres down, and maybe they'll get a bit punchy off the start, because otherwise those mediums, I think they last about 12 to 14 laps. They would be coming up on their shelf life. Yeah, Spritzy saying I predict Pinkham saying I predict several crashes now with the soft drivers versus the others. I absolutely think that could happen. There's going to be such differences in grip out there. And it's not only the differences in grip on the tyres. The guys have, out in front, looking at Kieran in 9th, for example, he's done 11 hard laps of racing on those hard tyres. Against someone on a fresh set of softs, it's going to be incredibly difficult to defend. Andrew will be his buffer on the mediums, but they're also 10 laps old, so they would have seen better days. And we've essentially got 2 different fields at the moment. Natalie is saying a few spots of rain down here in the pit lane. I'm not sure if that's some fake news there, but I like how exciting it's making everything. I'm going to go with it, even though I can't see anything myself. But that could, just to bear in mind there, Spritzy, that could also be my beer that you might be seeing there. The comms booth being just above the pit lane. I may have knocked over a beer, so that might be what you're seeing. Which, if anything, with the stickiness of it, will add to the grip. Oh, Huss says he sees it. Can we see it? I can't see it. I don't know if you're messing with me now. I'm just going to ignore it because maybe I'm just blind. Yeah, and I think you are messing with me. So, if anyone has some predictions for the podium positions, let's say, and any predictions for who will win the race of the soft tyre runners, that would be very nice. As the safety car is coming in this lap, get those predictions locked in. I predict a riot, so we've got Kaiser Chiefs in chat as well. Here we go. Will Colin launch it? He does. Does exactly the same as last time. Volcano reads it a bit better, but still struggling to live with him. And, well, Colin has bolted again. The Hearts are really, really close again, and we've got Yeast right up behind them, but we've got Brandon and Luke very close as well. Soft tyre runners also really close behind Andrew. Jetfish now just a 10th and a half behind. We've got a yellow flag. And that is Phil off the back, I believe. It's definitely an Alpine. I'm not seeing any updates on the timing. Yeah, it was Phil, unfortunately for him. And here comes Brandon. Yeah, in fairness, Lee, I've been seeing a lot of the drivers glitching all over the place. I think the lobby is unfortunately just been a little bit like that tonight. And we've got Fretty making a move on Quince. The soft tyre runners just doing battle with themselves at the moment. Brandon still close behind Luke here. We've got what would be a DRS train if we had DRS forming in front. We've got Yeast also putting pressure on here. Brandon having a look, can't make it work. Glatty just dropping back a little bit out of the exit there. Will Brandon get it done here? But they're both going to have loads of ERS. Luke's putting that car in the middle of the road. Yeah, and just covers it off nicely there, Luke. Good racing. And now these guys are actually, Luke and Brandon, starting to catch the guys in front. So I don't know if one of those guys had a bit of a moment. But they're only 1.3 seconds behind Colin. He hasn't completely checked out this time. This is the final lap. Jetfish has now got past Kieran. And he's just 2 tenths behind Andrew, but there's not a lot of overtaking areas there in the first sector. He's going to have to hope that he can make the most of the grip out of the hairpin. The Red Bull's also close behind Al. And the Mercedes, this is not what they need at the moment with McLaren, Ferrari and Haas all up the road and all their championship rivals. Also a good showing for Aston Martin so far tonight. We've got a yellow flag and that appears to be Bakker. I hate to say it, but the Red Bull of Bakker looks to have spun. He will be bringing that home in 16th now. And I don't think we're going to see any moves. Unfortunately, it's just so hard to get it done unless someone sends it into the chicane. They're having a look. Oh, and the Aston Martin locks up. Will Luke have a look? To the line. And he's just not been able to get there. And that is incredibly close as we come to the line. It was just so difficult to get past. Jetfish did the best on the softs, getting up to 9th. And who was it before the race? Was it Huss who said they were all finished, or 10 drivers finished within 3 tenths of each other? Well, we had quite a few there, really close. It was helped by the safety car, but right on the line there, Luke, Brandon and Yeast were right on top of each other. And I've got to say, my driver of the day has to be Colin. He was just outrageously quick today. But also a big shout out to the 2 Haas drivers. Volcano carrying on his good form. 2 seconds in a row. So he is looking like a really good championship contender this season. Brandon will be disappointed back in 6th. But after starting, I think it was 12th or 13th, he made the best of a poor qualifying. Luke also actually standout of the day. From 17th to 5th, exactly what we were saying earlier. How good is Luke at just quietly getting through the field? He's just so consistent. And Kieran, a shout out to him, 19th to 11th, good race. And what a race. Unfortunately, not as much qualifying as we wanted to see after that safety car, but after all the safety cars and how much of a tough track that is, I thought we did get to see some great racing. Unfortunate for Bakker and Phil. Rich Hussein, Luke for driver of the week. Yeah, it could be a definite show. I'd also have to put Colin forward. I just thought he was unbelievable tonight. Absolutely insane. And the 2 Haas drivers for me. But yeah, that is it from Premier Division tonight. I might see if I can get some of the guys into a party for some podium interviews. I'm not used to really doing this without Spritzy here. So expect incredibly poor questions if we do get them in. I'll hang on for 2 minutes just to see if we can get the guys in. It'd be good to speak to the Haas lads after such a good race for them. But if we don't, we'll end the stream. Yeah, thanks for everyone who came to watch it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll definitely try and think of some more trivia for you next week. I think it's Belgium next week, so we'll have to find some good facts there. But I don't think it looks like we're going to get the guys joining from Haas at the moment. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you very... Oh, no, we do. We have Spider-Man. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Not bad, thanks. I'm not sure whether my voice is being shared.
It should be. Yeah. Oh, and we've got your teammate. Well, I'm not very good at questions. Usually we have Spritzy for this part, but maybe I can ask you as a team. Do you guys think you can take the constructors title this year? Because you guys are looking very good at the moment. Second and third. I saw Volcano was second last week, and I think you look like you're going to give Ferrari a good battle for it.
Hopefully, sorry, last week I had a shocker, so there was no points. Actually got lapped, so I had to put in a good performance tonight. Otherwise, I'd be getting the sack. So hopefully, moving forward, we can continue to pick up some good points and challenge Ferrari, as you said.
Yeah, and it looked like for you a certain phase of the race where there was I think you had a few spinners in front of you and stuff, and you started on the hards, I think, and then it really started to play into your hands. And obviously the safety cars came out. How was it like managing all that? And then the safety cars, did you have to change what you were thinking, or
Well,
just keep going?
the safety car came out on an absolute perfect time for me. I think it was probably lap 17 or something, and I was literally approaching the pits when it came out. So that was perfect. There was a few spinners in front of me at certain stages, but I was able to kind of hang on to the lads in ninth, eighth, who were on the mediums. So I was on their pace on the hards, and then when I got the mediums on, I came out in third and had my teammate in front of me. So it was just all focused on getting the two lads home onto the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys managed it so well. I found myself, I don't know what you guys thought, it's especially following cars through those S's. I mean, it's such a fun track to drive, but it does feel horrible at times, doesn't it? When you got traffic through the S's, you're just scared that you're going to run into the back, or if someone's out of shape, it's so hard to avoid. Was that where you were really having to manage the race in Sector 1?
Yeah, it was a lot of managing, and to be honest with you, there was a lot of people glitching for me in the lobby, and I don't know whether it was my internet. So I was absolutely terrified of going into the back of Volcano because he was jumping on the over the screen, and I was just trying to keep a gap of probably 7 tenths, so I was far enough away.
Yeah.
But look, it worked out in the end, so happy days. And
Yeah, and
apologies to anybody if I was glitching.
no, we saw it on multiple drivers from commentary as well. I think unfortunately that
Okay,
was just the way the lobby went.
right.
Yeah, I mean that makes it even more difficult, I guess. Like at least in first division on Tuesday, we didn't have that issue. Um, I do think we got Volcano here as well. Have we got Volcano here?
Yes, I'm here.
How did you find it tonight? Enjoy the race?
Well, qualifying in second and finishing in second, kind of like best of the rest behind Colin. It's more than I'd expected. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
Was
and
a bit,
sorry,
go on.
Colin just looked to be so quick tonight, didn't he? It was hard to live with him. I think he was making amends for last week.
Yeah, well, even at the start, I thought to myself, there's no point in trying to keep up with him, or trying to stay in his DRS or anything. The only thing I was looking at was, well, behind me, trying to see if I can get a gap of more than 1 second. Yeah, Colin is in a league of his own.
Yeah, he was great tonight. But yeah, I mean, I mentioned you guys both. I thought that you could be contenders for Driver of the Week, but I've just seen that Spritzy has also updated the championship standings with you sitting top of the championship Volcano by 11 points at the moment. And also, we've got Haas. I don't think anyone's ever said this before. Haas are top of the constructors by 1 point to Ferrari. So it's incredibly close. So I think we could see some good battling from you guys this year. It's exciting to see.
Yeah, it's great to do this together with Spider-Man. This is kind of like familiar territory for us, being in the post-race interviews. in the previous league we were racing at. So yeah, great feeling. And I
Okay.
don't know how long it will last, but I'm enjoying it.
And you guys have been teammates before then?
No, we weren't teammates, but we were in the same league, and we had the same enemy, so to say.
Okay. Well, good luck for the season, and yeah, I think we'll bring it to a close there because without Spritzy, I am out of questions. But thank you for a great race, guys. Good luck with the championship, and yeah, thank you everyone who watched tonight. Enjoy your Thursday evening, and we will be back next week at the same time for more Premier Division racing. Cheers.
Cheers. Take it easy.
All
Up
right,
the Haas.
thanks. Cheers, guys.